My boyfriend and I bought a house because it was old. He was in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, while I was on wallpaper removal duty. On the first day, I started in the living room. It was a tedious job made harder by the fact that I was pregnant. I was determined to get it done before the baby came. I was just about to finish when I heard a noise from the kitchen. I assumed it was my boyfriend, so I went to see what he was up to. But when I got there, I noticed that the door to the basement was open and I could hear voices coming from below. I called out to my boyfriend, but there was no answer. I was about to go down and investigate when I heard him coming up the stairs. Later that day, I asked him what he was doing in the basement, and he looked at me with a confused expression. He told me that he hadn't been in the basement and that I must have been hearing things. I was exhausted and emotional from the pregnancy hormones, so I decided to just let it go. But the next day, when I was back at work, I heard the voices again. This time, they were louder and more distinct. I could tell there were two of them, a man and a woman. They were arguing about something, but I couldn't make out what it was. I tried to ignore it, but it was getting harder and harder to concentrate. I was about to go downstairs to see if I could figure out what was going on when I heard footsteps on the stairs. I called out to my boyfriend again, but there was still no answer. I was starting to get really freaked out now, so I decided to go down the basement and see what was going on. As I got closer to the bottom of the stairs, the voices got louder to me. The man sounded angry and the woman sounded scared. They were arguing about something, but I still couldn't figure out what it was. I was about to go back upstairs and call the police when I heard a loud crash coming from the kitchen. I ran upstairs, but when I got there was nothing there. I called the police and they came and searched the house, but they didn't find anything. And they told me that it was probably just my pregnancy hormones making me hear things. My boyfriend said that I was just being paranoid, but I know what I heard. A couple days had passed and I had the weirdest feeling that someone was watching me as I peeled the wallpaper off the walls. I turned around, but there was no one there. I chalked it up to my overactive imagination and continued to peel. But the longer I worked, the weirder it felt. There were footsteps on the stairs, and I could have sworn that I saw a shadow flicker across the doorframe. I told myself not to be paranoid and kept working, but then something caught my eye. There were names written on the ceiling, in between where the tiles met. And they weren't just any names. They were names of all the missing people from this area dating back to the early 1900s. Well, I knew this since I did my own research about the area's history before moving in. I showed my boyfriend what I had found, and he had said that it was just a coincidence. But I don't believe in coincidences. There is definitely something more going on here, and I need to find out what it is. The only thing I know, however, is that the owner of the house is a mystery and no one knows where they are or where they went. The only thing that anyone knows for sure is that they are missing. The house was put up for sale, but no one has been able to buy it. It's like the house is cursed or something. We bought it since it was the only thing we could afford for a small family. I'm not sure what was going on with all the voices I've heard, but I know we needed to find out. We need to find the owner of this house and figure out what happened to them and what the names are all about. So then I tried to recall where it all started. It was the basement. That's where I first heard the voices, and then I found the names on the wall. I was always one who never backs down in solving mysteries, and there's definitely something going on here that obviously involved the owner of that house. I knew I needed to go down there and explore more, but I'm not sure what I would find. I convinced my boyfriend to help me on this since he was also someone that shared the same curiosity as I did. Maybe we'll find answers, or maybe we'll find something even more sinister. Either way, I needed to go down there and see for ourselves. I am now hearing the voices more frequently, even though I don't want to. They were mostly arguments, sometimes in other languages. But it's clear that they obviously weren't happy. I'm scared to go downstairs, but I know we need to. When I reached the basement, I found something even more disturbing. There was a room that had been walled off, and inside it, I could hear the voices. I can't get the names out of my head. They're all people who have gone missing, some of them even from this town. I don't know what it means, but I know my boyfriend and I needed to find out before I gave birth. We've been researching the missing people and we found some interesting connections. Some of them went missing in strange circumstances and others just disappeared without a trace. But there's something about all of them that makes me think that they're connected to this house. I finally convinced my boyfriend to call the police again and report the missing names. The police found out that the missing person, with dates that matched the names on the wall, were actually victims of a serial killer. They asked me about the paper on the wall and basement that I peeled off. "Ma'am, where have you taken the material you removed from the walls?" I told them to come with me since I just left it where I took it off. I couldn't bend much after all due to pregnancy and I was kinda expecting my boyfriend to just remove it afterwards. Well, he obviously didn't. The police then went to pick up the material which I pointed, and I could see how all their eyes grew wide and how they all turned pale white. "Ma'am, you weren't removing wallpaper. It was human skin."